Well, welcome back to Mountain Gym Card Collectibles. I hope you had a great weekend. It was Mother's Day, so I hope you had a great dinner or whatever you did. Anyway, today I want to talk about something that has always bothered me about sports cards. And what is it about sports cards where I just feel like the companies, the leagues, whatever, looks at us like we are just a bunch of sucker fish. If you've ever gone fishing, which I used to fish quite a bit, growing up, especially where I live, you'll run into sucker fish. Like it says here, how to catch suckerfish. I'm a sucker for you. And there's a golden red horse sucker. I've caught plenty of those in my time fishing. This would be great for a sports card company to read, wouldn't it? Because we all know how they look at us. Suckers. All right. And to an extent, the sports card hobby demands you to be a sucker, which I wish that things would dramatically change. When I was growing up, I don't even know if kids play marbles anymore, but I used to play marbles. You have a little marble bag, you collect them, you can buy them at the store, they're a collectible, can't say they're not. But ask yourself this. If you're into marbles, red marbles, would you continually buy the same red marble? Or maybe, the red marble changes, has a little white strip in it, but for the most part, it's the same red marble. Okay? Would you keep buying the same red marble month after month after month after month if the packaging was slightly different every month, if the red marble was slightly redder, lighter every month, and let's just say that there was a gimmick that changed every month for the same red marble for your collection, would you keep buying that red marble? Honestly, because that is what sports cards are all about, is getting you to dive into the same product month after month after month with a different name, with maybe a different color, but still the same players, same autographs. Everything is wash, rinse, and repeat. This is Dave and Adams. And let's kind of cycle down, some of the releases for the month. So, to start us off, 2024 Topps Resurgence Football. Okay? We know the marketing schemes here. And if you watched my previous video on my preview of 2024 Topps Resurgence Football, which I recommend that you watch, you would notice how Dave and Adams went, 110% in on this product. It's a debut product. But then, for 2024 football products, then we come to the Panini Phoenix Football, which is being released tomorrow. I could do a preview. I'm not doing a preview because I've done so many Panini Football previews for 2024. It really just becomes an echo chamber. Guess what? May 16th. I'll likely do a preview on this one as well. 2024 Topps Signature Class Football. The price is about where it was at for Resurgence Football. This looks like another debut product. We'll get into that later. But anyway, it's $469.95 for a hobby box. You get 5 autographs per box, okay? That's great. Aren't you excited? But remember what I said about the red marble. If you're collecting marbles, are you always going to buy the same red marble month in and month out with different packaging. Maybe there's a little white dot on the red marble one month and maybe a black dot on the next. You see my point? So when you are dealing with sports cards, you likely don't realize that you are part of a marketing scheme. Now, every product has a life cycle. And this is from Investopedia. And it's really important to think about because it's really simple, The product life cycle is the duration a product is available to customers, starting with its market introduction and ending when it's removed from shelves, okay? That's pretty simple. The product life cycle is the length of time that a product is available to customers. It starts when a product, a good or a service, is introduced into the market and ends when it's removed from the shelves. Now, guess what? You typically don't see that with sports cards. They're introduced, they're removed from the shelves when they're all sold out, So sports cards kind of break the product life cycle. And I want you to understand that. This concept is used by management and marketing professionals to make marketing and sales decisions, such as whether or not to increase advertising, reduce prices, expand to new markets, or redesign packaging. The process of strategizing ways to continuously support and maintain a product is called the product life cycle management. And, if they were using the same exact card, okay, and they're trying to every month sell the same exact batch of cards, they would really, this would be, like a mission impossible. Let's face it. So they have to tweak it, you realize, with the way that it works. A product life cycle is the length of time when a product is introduced to the market until it's taken off the shelves. And for sports cards, that's usually when it's sold out. And for some brands, you can go to Dave and Adams. They have years and years and years of sports cards just sitting there, There are 4 stages in a product's life cycle: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Now, the reason why I want to highlight this is because with sports cards, the way that they're released month in, month out, we're typically not seeing these life cycles in our faces. Now, these life cycles are occurring. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes they're occurring very fast, when a product sells out. And maybe you have resellers, doing what they're doing. And Topps is going, great, it's sold out, so time to make the next batch of football cards with the same players. But they know better than to just shill out the same exact card. So they have to tweak it and make it look slightly different. A company often incurs higher marketing costs when introducing a product to the market, but experiences higher sales as product adoption grows. For limited products, which is what we typically get for sports cards, it usually doesn't go that way. But if you look at the full life cycle of all the products, it does. Sales stabilize and peak when the product's adoption matures, though competition and obsolescence may cause its decline. The concept of product life cycle helps inform marketing and sales decisions, from pricing and promotion to expansion or cost cutting. And this is going to explain what's going on. And it's called product differentiation marketing. Yes. And then I go back to, are we all just suckers? Are we all just suckers for sports cards? Because I talked about the red marble. You're not going to be satisfied. You're going to be like, why do I keep buying the same red marble with just slightly different packaging? And collectible companies know this, especially sports card companies. So they want to keep selling the same card all throughout the year For Topps, baseball, it starts with Topps Series 1. It's a great start. And then they just keep shilling out the same product with, maybe high-end, low-end, mid-range. Or lately with Topps, it's usually about the same price on a lot of its products for one reason or another. At least it's better products. So this is what's going on. And this AI overview, from Google Gemini is great. Like it says, the marketing approach of using the same product but changing its packaging to target different customers is often referred to as product differentiation. The strategy aims to create a unique selling proposition, USP, by highlighting different qualities or benefits, even if the product itself remains the same. And that's just it, is really the product does remain the same with sports cards. You have the same players, typically the same autographs, same rookies, same veterans, typically, close to the same inserts, same base. But, we just have to change it just slightly. And then like it says here, product differentiation. This is a marketing strategy where companies distinguish their products from competitors, often through packaging, marketing, or branding, which when you have a monopolized company, who solely holds the licensing, that's really not going on as much with the competition. Yeah, there is competition, but on license versus license, it just, you know what I mean. Altering the product's packaging can be a part of differentiation, creating visual appeal or highlighting specific features. Okay. By repackaging, companies can create a different perception of the product, appealing to different segments of the market. Examples. A shampoo company might use different colored bottles to indicate different hair types. Or a coffee company might offer the same coffee beans in different size bags or with different branded packaging. Yep. Benefits. Differentiation can create a competitive advantage, allowing businesses to target specific niches and command higher prices, which when it comes to baseball, you're typically dealing with the same niche. Yeah, you're dealing with, different incomes, low, middle, high. So when it comes to sports cards, they just really use product differentiation on steroids. Differentiation marketing may also focus on niche market. Differentiation qualities may be reflected in the product's packaging, marketing, promotion, or branding. The strategy may require adding new functional features or might be as simple as redesigning packaging. Or in our case, it's always redesigning the sports card. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Tweak it slightly, give it a different name. We have to keep selling the same product throughout the year. Why do we change the product with sports cards? Because there's different tastes. But to an extent, if you've been doing sports cards enough, it gets exhausting. It really does, to where you just keep wishing almost for a different, year. It's just like, I'm so burnt out of the 2025 class. I wish we had a different class. Why do we have to keep going through a full year of differentiation marketing with the rotten rookie class from 2025? I'm just saying that, I don't know if I believe that at that point, but it's a great point. Why do we have to keep wash, rinse, and repeating stuff? Well, that's why. It's so that, Topps, Fanatics, Panini, all these sports card companies can, make a continual profit throughout the year. And to an extent, sports card people are big suckers for it. All right, so what is needed in the realm of sports cards? A revolution, because this has been going on for a long time, and it's only gotten worse. Differentiation marketing. I think of the sports cards when I was a kid. There wasn't much of it going on. Yeah, there was a little bit, but to an extent, you had different companies during the junk wax era. Yeah, they were putting out some different sets, but just not to the number and degree that they are currently doing it at. So we need a revolution. Don't pretend we don't. What we're looking at is a pretty easy term, and that's called product innovation. We are not getting product innovation. We are getting product differentiation. Product innovation is much different to a certain degree than wash, rinse, and repeat the same class throughout an entire year, like 2024 football. It's just the endless marketing from Topps. It just keeps going on and on. It's not just them, it's Panini as well. It's the off season. But we've seen so many different types of Panini football. I mean, they have a name for, every idea that runs across the board. But you and I both know what's going on. They are just basically selling you the same product. So I'm just going to read what it says about product innovation. A marketing strategy that involves a complete overhaul of the product on an annual basis is product innovation or product lifecycle management. And we get that to a certain degree with sports cards year in and year out. We do get product innovation because we get a different class with sports cards, different rookies, they'll likely have different veterans, whatever, So there is product innovation going on a yearly basis. But really, the big issue is we need product innovation going on a monthly basis so that we don't look like the big suckers. So we're not the big suckers. So we're not buying the same red marble in different packaging month in and month out. Because that's really all that's going on in sports cards to a certain degree. And people are going, okay, well, maybe I can get my auto in this one, or maybe I can get my auto in that one. And then you begin to count the numbers, of autos that a big sports star has put out in a 1-year product window, and you just feel like it's not special at all, Product lifecycle management, PLM. This strategy involves managing the entire product life cycle from initial planning and design to manufacturing, marketing, and eventually the product's end of life. It ensures that the products are constantly updated and improved to meet changing market needs and stay ahead of the competition. Example. Many consumer electronics companies like smartphone manufacturers follow this strategy, releasing new models with updated features and designs every year. That is a great example because that is like sports cards. That's all sports cards pretty much does. It isn't changing that much, maybe a die cut, you have your autos, you have your mini cards, you have your auto patches, whatever. We are not really getting what they call product innovation. You can pretend you are. Anyway, key concepts. Market segmentation. Understand how different customer segments may respond to changes in the product. Yeah, and that's always what sports card companies are doing. Product differentiation, highlighting the unique qualities of the new product to attract customers. And then organic growth. Expand the market through the introduction of new products. They try to do that, but they're not really giving you new products. They're doing what we went over, And that's why sports cards aren't much fun, is because the only marketing strategy that you are going to get thrown at in sports cards, like for your entire lifetime, is, market differentiation. You begin to feel like the sucker after a while. I mean, as a consumer, I feel like a sucker after a while with market differentiation, and you ask yourself, why does it have to be like this? Why can't we get more innovation in this market? Well, a lot of it has to do with the way that the sports leagues have created a monopoly with Topps, Fanatics, Panini. And so if we had different companies with different licenses, and let's say that they're releasing products at different times throughout the year, it would be a lot more fun. You would see a lot more product innovation. But at this point, doing the way that they do it is exhausting. Don't pretend it's not. What can the sports card market do to get out of this cycle? Well, I kind of went over some of it. To a certain degree, you'd have to break up the monopolies. Because we know how tiring it gets to always be watching, Topps, Panini rolling out the same class of sports stars yearly, weekly, monthly, with different names. So, not to stick up for the junk wax era, but the junk wax era was nice because it did offer some product innovation. Now, you were still getting the same players. So to a degree, it was just market differentiation. And to me, at my age, with all the years I have under my belt, you're really not getting much of a difference in sports cards from when I first started in the mid-'80s to now. There hasn't been many revolutionary changes in the sports card market. And what I wish would happen is that these companies would stop printing continually. And if they're going to keep printing stuff, they have to start innovating it more, Because let's face it, you can go through a full years of Panini products, football, for instance, and week in and week out, they are putting out more Panini football products. They try to, kind of have the different price ranges, a little bit better than Topps Fanatics does. But overall, when you see them, you begin to just go, oh, geez, this is just an echo chamber. It really is. So what would it take to break the echo chamber of sports cards? Well, in my opinion, they'd have to stop releasing near as much as they do. The leagues would have to stop monopolizing corporations. You have to start breaking out with a new product. I know that they tried, kind of NFT type cards, digital cards, and, to an extent, that was a big change, but it wasn't a big enough change, if you know what I mean. And I'm not exactly sure what that change would be. But my point is it would just be nice to stop the continual 24/7, 365 days a year of differentiation marketing pointedly directed towards sports cards consumers. And I'm just tired. I'm sure if you're a consumer that likes sports cards, you have to be feeling it too. So now you know what's going on. Anyway, if you have any ideas on how to change this type of sports card marketing, leave some comments. That would be great. Thank you to my subscriber base. You're the reason I keep doing these episodes. And if you're a viewer and if you haven't subscribed yet, it's 100% free. All you have to do is hit your button. It helps this channel out greatly. I can improve the channel. And I don't have to continue, doing free services for Google and YouTube. I can get paid. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. I'm out of here. Bye.